Today we are taking a look at Himiko Toga from My Hero Academia. This is the Himiko Toga figure in the Noir Edge Collection line by Banpresto. My Hero Academia is a superhero action series built around heroes, students, and villains, with large-scale battles unfolding alongside school life. Within that story, Himiko Toga is one of the villain's side characters and leaves a strong impression through her dangerous presence and unpredictable behavior. That unsettling intensity gives her a very distinct place in the series. Today's highlights for this figure are the yellow eyes and bright red ribbon standing out against the monochrome palette, the detailed sculpting in the fangs, twin buns, and cardigan knit, and the deep open mouth combined with a pose that directs the whole figure toward the face. The first highlight is the color contrast. Almost the entire figure is handled in monochrome, so the yellow inside the narrow eyes and the red ribbon at the chest become the two strongest focal points immediately. The eyes hold that yellow in a very small area, while the ribbon spreads the red across a much wider shape, so the figure creates one sharp point at the face and one broader block at the chest. The second highlight is the sculpt work. The upper teeth line includes clearly pointed fangs. The hair is organized into two buns surrounded by many radiating strands, and the cardigan is covered in a fine knit pattern that changes depending on the curves beneath it. Because of that, the figure keeps a lot of surface variation even though the color palette stays very limited. The third highlight is the mouth and the pose. The mouth is not just wide from side to side. It also has real depth, with the upper and lower teeth, the tongue, and the recessed mouth interior all remaining visible. That open mouth is then emphasized by both hands gathering toward the face, the head tilting upward, and the lower body closing inward at the feet, so the full pose keeps drawing the eye back to that central expression. This channel brings you figure reviews and anime merchandise updates straight from Japan. If you enjoyed this kind of content, don't forget to subscribe. The head is built around an upward tilted face and a mouth opened very widely at the center. The opening is not only broad across the face but also deep from front to back, so the lip edge, the upper and lower rows of teeth, and the recessed interior of the mouth all remain readable from the front. The upper teeth form a loose arc, and along that arc, the fangs drop sharply downward, creating a very clear pointed break inside the otherwise even row of teeth. The lower teeth rise along the lower edge of the mouth, and behind them the tongue sits high enough to keep the opening from becoming a flat, dark cavity. That layering gives the mouth real depth rather than just a dark hole cut into the face. The eyes are pulled narrow across the face, and the upper eyelid lines extend outward, which keeps the gaze sharp even though the mouth dominates the expression. The yellow in the eyes is restricted to a small area, so it becomes a strong focal point inside a face otherwise built from white, gray, and black. The nose stays short and subtle at the center, and the cheeks do not swell outward very much, so the face is carried mainly by the relationship between the teeth, the eyes, and the open mouth. The hair supports that expression by combining a controlled front view with a much wider rear silhouette. The bangs are cut in a nearly horizontal line across the forehead, but that edge is broken up by small separations, so the front hair reads as grouped strands rather than one solid flat sheet. From under the bangs, short sections of hair fall along the outer sides of the face and stop around the height of the mouth, which places thin vertical lines beside the large opening. From the top of the head toward the back, the hair gathers while keeping a central parting line, and that flow continues directly into the two buns. Each bun carries wrapped grooves across its surface, and around the outside of each bun, many thin strands radiate outward. Those strands separate clearly, body into rounded roots and sharply curved outer tips, which gives the rear of the head a much more active silhouette than the front. Short strands also drop behind the neck while other strands kick outward, so the back of the head is built from overlapping layers rather than one closed rounded mass. The straight, controlled line of the bangs and the more explosive spread around the buns create a very strong contrast within the head itself, and that contrast makes the expression feel even more forceful. The upper body begins with the neck stretching upward beneath the raised face, and below that the upper torso leans slightly back. That creates a line that runs from the chest toward the mouth before the hands even enter the composition. Both arms are lifted high, with the elbows pushed outward and the hands gathered in front of the face, so the entire upper half of the figure narrows visually toward the mouth area. The hand positioned higher on the face brings its top finger up to the level below the eye, while another finger follows the upper edge of the mouth. The lower hand pushes one finger into the mouth interior, opens another in front of the lower jaw, and drops another finger toward the front of the throat. Because of that arrangement, the fingers do not simply cover the face. They enlarge the expression by tracing the edges of the mouth and extending its visual area upward and downward. The fingers themselves are long and thin, and the gaps between them remain open enough that the depth of the mouth is still visible through the hand arrangement. At the wrists, thick ribbed cuffs wrap around the arms before the hands begin, so the change from the heavier cardigan to the slimmer fingers remains very clear. The outfit is built as a sailor uniform underneath a cardigan. At the neck, the sailor collar emerges from inside the cardigan and two lines run around its outer edge, clearly separating the collar surface from its border. In front of that, the school ribbon is tied in a large knot, and from that knot, two ends spread outward and downward, creating a wide horizontal accent across the chest. Red appears only here, so the ribbon becomes the fixed color center of the whole upper body. Below it, a white front placket drops straight down with round buttons placed at regular intervals, giving the chest area a clear vertical axis beneath the ribbon. Across the cardigan itself, a fine knit pattern covers the entire surface. That knit spreads wider over the chest, falls more vertically at the sides of the torso, and forms shallow folds near the hem, so the same surface texture changes depending on the underlying form. White shoulder sections sit above the gray main body, which adds another clear layer just beneath the collar area. From the back, a large sailor collar covers the upper part of the back in a square-like shape, and beneath it, a white vertical strip runs down the center toward the hem. That gives the back a central line corresponding to the front placket. At the bottom of the cardigan, a thick ribbed hem closes the upper body clearly before the skirt begins, so the transition into the lower half is handled with a definite boundary instead of fading out through the knit. The lower body starts immediately beneath the ribbed cardigan hem, where the pleated skirt begins. The pleats alternate between surfaces that push forward and surfaces that fall back, so the skirt does not read as one simple flared ring. Near the top, part of the skirt is still partly covered by the cardigan, but toward the lower edge, the pleat widths become much easier to read, and the hemline rises and falls slightly as it travels around the figure. From the front, a narrow gap remains between the skirt hem and the thighs, so the skirt sits as its own outer layer rather than lying flat against the legs. Below that, one leg drops near the center, while the other bends slightly and overlaps in front of it, which gives the front view a subtle offset instead of two evenly matched leg lines. From the side, the knee of the front leg projects a little farther forward, while the other leg descends behind it, so the two legs sit with a small but clear front-to-back separation. From the rear, the more central leg passes directly in front of the support block, while the outer leg lands slightly farther away, keeping a small opening in the back view as well. Below the knees, monochrome socks cover the lower legs, and the boundary between the bare leg area and the socks is clearly cut across the lower calf. The top of each sock disappears under the skirt, and the socks continue the narrowing line of the legs down toward the ankles. At the feet, the shoes are loafers with rounded toes and a thick front volume. The top surface of each shoe is separated by a raised edge, so the foot does not become one smooth, simplified mass. From the front, the 2 feet are brought close together, but the angles are not identical. One toe turns slightly on a diagonal, while the other stays closer to forward-facing, which gives the feet a small directional difference. A rectangular support block stands beside the legs, and one lower leg passes very close in front of its upper edge, adding another vertical plane near the inner side of the lower body. Taken together, the short pleated skirt, the knee-high socks, the rounded loafers, and the inward closing leg arrangement give the lower half a compact finish that balances the much more aggressive movement around the face and hands. This figure is approximately 22 centimeters tall. That's about 8.7 inches. For size comparison, here's a 350 milliliter can. That's about 12 ounces in the US. Overall, Himiko Toga by Banpresto stands out because this figure brings together a wide open mouth, sharp fangs, a tightly controlled monochrome palette, and a pose that keeps the whole silhouette aimed back toward the face. The face makes the strongest first impression. The chin lifts upward, the mouth opens deeply enough to show the upper and lower teeth as well as the tongue, and the narrow eyes hold small yellow accents that stay sharp against the surrounding monochrome surfaces. Because the nose and cheeks remain restrained, the impact of the face is carried mainly by the relationship between the mouth and the eyes. The hair strengthens that presentation very effectively. The bangs form a nearly straight line across the forehead, while the shorter side sections place vertical strands beside the open mouth. Behind that controlled front view, the hair gathers into 2 buns, and from those buns, many thin strands spread outward in different directions. That gives the head a much wider and more active silhouette from the back than from the front. The upper body works well because the pose and the costume layers support each other closely. The neck stretches upward, the torso leans slightly back, and both arms rise high so the hands can gather around the face. One hand reaches toward the area below the eye and along the top edge of the mouth, while the other moves across the lower jaw and into the mouth itself, so the expression extends into the hands instead of stopping at the face. At the chest, the sailor collar, the bright red ribbon, and the white placket create a clear layered center, while the knit pattern across the cardigan keeps the clothing surfaces visually active. The lower body gives the figure a controlled finish. The pleated skirt keeps a small gap above the thighs. One leg drops near the center, and the other crosses slightly in front, so the front view avoids becoming too flat. From the side and back, that leg arrangement keeps a slight front to back offset, and the inward closing feet complete the pose cleanly. What makes the figure especially effective is how all of these elements connect into one clear flow. The eye moves from the yellow eyes to the open mouth, from the mouth down to the red ribbon and white placket, and then into the skirt and inward closing feet before being carried back upward by the hands and the wider silhouette of the hair. Because of that, fans of My Hero Academia or Himiko Toga will likely enjoy this piece very much. Collectors who like sharp fang detail, monochrome figure designs, and pose-driven presentation should find it a very satisfying addition. That's it for this video. If there's any part of the figure you liked, feel free to leave a comment and share your thoughts. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.